So I was fishing at the point over here next to the fishing association person in Fontaine, and apparently once they finished, they immediately started talking to me. So let's see if this is a quest or not. Incredible, incredible! How did you hook a fish that quickly? The line breaker you defeated looks pretty powerful too. Defeated a line breaker? Paimon doesn't really get what you're saying. Ahem. The experts at the Fishing Association say that fishing is like dueling. Fishers use their rods, line, and bait as weapons, and they wrestle against the might of the fish that swim beneath the waves. Thus, great lunkers called line breakers. Hence, line breaking for short. Calling it that sounds really strange. It's just fishing, right? There's nothing too special about it. Unless you're talking about like those super massive fish, the ones that can't possibly be landed. No, no, sorry for making you feel so confused. It must be a problem with the way I explained it. Yes, the problem lies with me. Even though I am the director of the Fontaine Fishing Association, I've never managed to catch even a single fish. So when I watched you hook one without any difficulty at all, I was especially shocked. Director? That sounds like a pretty important position. But you said you've never caught a fish before. And how did you become the director? Oh, that has nothing to do with fishing itself. It's just that everyone holds the equipment I provide in high regard. I used to be an ordinary clerk at the Fontaine Research Institute. I was in charge of purchasing equipment and negotiating prices with vendors, but most of the time I was just waiting for responses from them. All I could do was wander around the streets in search of something to do while waiting for them to get back to me. It felt like I was wasting my life and I just couldn't take it anymore. Wasting your life and you couldn't take it? You don't have to do anything and people will still think you're hard at work. Why would you be upset about that? Paimon doesn't get it. I wouldn't mind a job like that. Thankfully, I met my new friends at the Fishing Association, and they introduced me to the run of fishing. After getting hooked on this hobby, my life took on a whole new direction. To repay them, I provided them with lots of equipment sitting around unused by the Institute. Using the kits I gave them, the members of the association started getting quite a few more bites on their hooks. They credited me for all their newfound success. Since I was familiar with the process of interacting with vendors and had an excess of free time, everyone elected me as director. But even though I'm now partially in charge of the fishing association, I've still never caught any fish, not even a fry as big as my finger. I can't help but feel like I'm not doing my job. Maybe you were just super unlucky. Maybe the fish are like you. The fish are like you, wandering off for a swim instead of doing their jobs and sticking near the hook. But we caught some fish just now, which means the fish are back at their posts and doing their jobs. Why don't you give it another shot right now? That sounds like a good idea. I'll give it another shot. Paimon thinks that Delaroche is pretty honest. She even told us stuff like how she's skipping out on work and fishing on the job without any hesitation. But now that Paimon thinks about it, is it really possible for someone to fish for months and never get a bite? Just what's going on here? If Delaroche doesn't manage to catch a fish and loses her confidence, or if people start doubting her and she gets replaced as the director of the Fishing Association, maybe the new person won't be nearly as easy to get along with. It's important that the director has a good personality. So you agree with Paimon. Then we should help her and make sure she catches at least one fish and doesn't give up on the job. Nothing looks wrong with Delaroche's fishing pole, and she's really focused and not fidgeting at all. Maybe the problem's underwater? Something about her bait? Let's check out the hook and bait she's using. Delaroche's book doesn't have any bait on it at all. Even a layman knows that fishing requires bait. How can you catch a fish with just an empty hook? If we ask Delaroche correctly, it might seem like we're insulting her intelligence. It might be a bit rude. Let's ask about bait in general first. Good idea. Let's try to be more tactful this time. Let's think of it as practice for dealing with any well-intentioned but very confused people we might run into in the future. But we already dove down here to check her hook. Leaving it completely bare like this is kind of a shame. Maybe there's something more we can do? let's put a fish on it. Whoa, that's pretty direct. It does sound like a good idea, though. As long as it can cheer Delaroche up and help her understand the importance of bait, then all will be doing well. Let's do it. Shouldn't you talk to her about the bait thing first, instead of just putting a fish on her hook? What kind of fish should be put on the hook? Well, it'd have to be one from this area, so unfortunately I'm going to have to give up this one. Patience, patience. This is just a test of my patience. As director of the Fishing Association, I must remain by my post here at the fishing point. I shall defeat these line breakers with my unbending will. Did you catch a fish? Congratulations. Ah, I thought you two left. Thankfully, you didn't miss out on this momentous moment. I have incredibly wonderful news for you. Just now, I finally caught a huge fish. This fish's physique and weight are beyond compare. My friends at the association will be agog when they see it. And it's all thanks to your advice. As of today, I have finally ceased to be fishless. I must sincerely express my deepest gratitude to you both. Congratulations. We just want to ask though, why don't you usually use bait? By means, what is your favorite kind of bait to use? Huh? Why are you suddenly asking about that? I'm not that proficient with bait types, really. I only heard an older angler say the more the bait diffuses, the more fish it can attract. So I supplemented the most popular bait formulas with a substance that dissolves more easily in the water. Hold on, does this mean that overly soft bait will lose out to line breakers in battle? Is that why I never managed to catch any fish before? It just completely dissolved. Oh, so that it's not that she didn't use bait, but the bait she used completely disintegrated? If it just turned into soup in the water, then why would the fish ever bite the hook? I think I understand. I finally understand. You two have granted me the essential epiphany. Please accept my sincerest thanks. Of course, this meager reward isn't enough. Once I become a master angler renowned throughout Fontaine, you'll be known as my distinguished mentors. Such a title will be priceless. Next, I'm going to alter the composition of my bait. I'll make it sturdier, and then I'll beat the strongest line breakers with but a few tugs. That's not exactly how it's supposed to work, but at least Delaroche knows not to use bait that easily dissolves. Things turned out okay, right? Paimon hopes everything will go as smoothly as Delaroche imagines. Did that one have a quest thingy? No, it did not. So I guess I'm going to call this Delaroche Needs Bait. So that's going to be it, and I'll see you guys later.